The Code of Hammurabi is one of the oldest and best preserved legal documents in human history, a masterpiece of the ancient Babylonian civilization that left an indelible mark on the history of law and human civilization. This code was written around 1754 BCE by King Hammurabi of Babylon, who ruled between approximately 1792 and 1750 BCE. It was engraved on a 2-meter-high diorite stele, topped with a carved image of Hammurabi receiving the laws from the god Shamash, symbol of justice. The original stele was discovered in 1901 in Susa, Iran, and is now housed in the Louvre Museum in Paris. The code was written during a period of remarkable social, economic, and cultural development for Mesopotamia. Babylonian civilization was at the center of intense cultural and commercial exchanges, and Babylon was one of the main city-states in the region, influenced by the ancient Akkadian Empire and Sumerian culture. Hammurabi's political structure reflected a high level of organization, but a legal code was also necessary to regulate complex issues related to commerce, family, property, and crime. Hammurabi thus undertook the drafting of a code that would establish justice and peace among his subjects, making the governance of his empire more stable. The code's purpose was to make justice stable in the land, abolish evil and crime, and prevent the powerful from oppressing the weak. Its drafting was seen as a divine mission, and Hammurabi considered himself the medium through which the god of justice, Shamash, imparted his laws. The Code of Hammurabi consists of 282 laws engraved on the stele and follows a precise scheme, with provisions covering a wide range of aspects of daily life. The individual articles of the code are preceded by a prologue and followed by an epilogue. In the prologue, Hammurabi presents himself as the king of justice chosen by the gods, the ruler who brings order and welfare to his people. The legitimacy of his power is tied to divine authority, and he affirms that the laws issued are for the good of all, especially to protect the weak from oppression. The legal provisions cover various aspects of public and private life. These laws are not organized systematically, but grouped by topics. In particular, laws on property and agriculture regulate issues such as land ownership, loans and debts, the responsibilities of farmers and shepherds. Family and marriage laws concern family law, the rights of wives and children, divorce, adultery, and inheritance. Trade and labor laws define the relationship between employers and workers, the obligations and rights of merchants, rules for trade, and contracts. Criminal laws set out penalties for crimes such as theft, murder, assault, and other offenses, often applying the principle of lex talionis, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. In the epilogue, Hammurabi invites future rulers to respect and enforce the laws. In this text, he threatens curses upon anyone who does not respect the code or alters it to their advantage. He emphasizes that his code is a divine gift intended to ensure order and justice among his subjects. One of the most characteristic aspects of the code is the use of the law of retaliation, lex talionis, a principle whereby the punishment must correspond to the harm caused. This principle is evident in many of the code's laws, which often prescribe exemplary punishments for offenses, varying according to the severity of the crime and the social status of the individuals involved. Alongside the law of retaliation, the code applies a social distinction between classes, dividing the population into awilum, free citizens, mushkinum, state subjects with limited rights, and wardum, slaves, each with a different scale of sanctions. This legal stratification reflects the complex social structure of ancient Babylon and shows how the law could be applied differently, depending on an individual's social status. Certain specific laws of the code clearly highlight the legal and social mentality of the time. For example, in Law 196, if a man damages another man's eye, his eye will be damaged. This law explicitly expresses the principle of the law of retaliation, whereby the punishment must mirror the harm caused. In Law 138, if a man wishes to separate from his wife, but she has not erred and has no children, he must give her a sum of money as compensation and let her go. This law indicates a certain level of legal protection for women who had rights in cases of separation. In Law 218, if a doctor performs a major operation on a man and causes his death, his hands shall be cut off. Health professionals, too, were subject to severe liability in cases of error. The Code of Hammurabi represents one of the earliest attempts to establish a formal justice system regulated by written norms that were recognized and respected by the entire population. Although influenced by religious beliefs and structured according to a classist social vision, the code succeeded in attempting to formalize the rights and duties of every citizen, laying the foundations for a system of codified laws. Many of the Code of Hammurabi's principles, such as professional responsibility, private property protection, and the penalization of violent crimes, are considered precursors to modern legal theories. Although the punishments prescribed may seem severe by today's standards, they represented a step forward in the protection of social order and the regulation of human relationships. The code's influence can be observed in various subsequent Mesopotamian and Near Eastern legal texts, and it is recognized as one of the founding pillars of ancient law.